This fragile space, a momentary reprieve from the emotional onslaught, was crucial. It was here, in this amber zone, that the possibility of rational thought could tentatively emerge. The next critical step in the Stoic reset was to clearly delineate what was within their control and what was not. This wasn't about drawing lines in the sand against their colleague, but rather mapping their own emotional territory. They mentally, almost physically, drew a distinct boundary, separating their responsibilities from external factors. On one side of this invisible line resided what belonged to them, their sphere of influence and action. This included their intended reply, their personal standards of integrity, and the project's critical deadline. These were elements they could directly impact, shape, and defend with their own efforts. On the other side lay what didn't belong to them, the aspects entirely outside their direct command. This encompassed their colleagues' audacious post, the undeserved applause they might receive, and their skewed version of events. These were external occurrences, beyond their immediate power to alter or dictate. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, etched into ancient wax, resonated profoundly in this moment of clarity. His 2,000-year-old distinction between what is within and what is beyond our control still cut clean. It was a timeless truth, offering a powerful framework for navigating personal and professional challenges. Understanding this distinction was like finding a compass in a storm, pointing towards a stable, internal north. With this mental map firmly established, the protagonists then deliberately placed their phone face down on the desk. This simple physical act symbolized a temporary disengagement from the immediate, reactive digital world. It was a conscious decision to pause the external noise and focus inward on deliberate construction. They opened a blank note on their computer, a pristine canvas awaiting their structured thoughts. The title they chose for this digital document was "What I Protect," a declaration of their core values. This wasn't a space for venting or emotional outpouring. It was a strategic ledger of their non-negotiables. First on the list was "My reputation for calm," a commitment to maintaining composure under duress. Next, "My standard for credit," emphasizing the importance of intellectual honesty and recognition. And finally, the project's timeline, underscoring their dedication to professional efficacy and delivery. They wrote these points with the precision of a doctor noting vital signs, devoid of drama or flowery adjectives. Each phrase was concise, factual, and imbued with a quiet, unwavering resolve. This exercise solidified their internal stance, fortifying their resolve against impulsive reactions. Only then did they begin to construct their reply, not as an emotional outburst, but as a strategic communication. Each line served a distinct purpose, a building block in a carefully considered response. The first line presented a clear, undeniable fact. In slides 7 through 12, the sourcing was mine. This was a statement of objective truth, devoid of accusation or emotional charge. The next line established a firm, professional boundary. Please credit accurately going forward. It was a direct request for rectification, delivered with authority but without aggression. Finally, a clear next step was proposed. I will update the deck. Please confirm when received. This offered a practical solution, maintaining control over the narrative and the project's progression. There was no heat in these words, no hint of a courtroom drama or personal attack. The message was like a ruler on a map, precise and guiding, not a spear thrown in anger. It was a testament to the power of measured communication, a deliberate choice over reactive impulse. Before sending, they read the entire message aloud, slowly, deliberately, letting each word resonate. This oral recitation allowed them to catch any lingering traces of sarcasm or unnecessary adjectives. They meticulously sanded off any sharp edges, ensuring the tone remained neutral and professional. The goal was clarity and firmness, not passive aggression or veiled resentment. With a relaxed thumb, not a jab of indignation, they pressed send, releasing the message into the digital ether. A subtle shift occurred within them. Their spine found its center, like a compass needle settling. The internal turbulence subsided, replaced by a quiet sense of equilibrium and control. 60 seconds. That was all it had taken to traverse the chasm from raw reaction to thoughtful response. from a version of themselves prone to burning bridges in the heat of the moment, to the one capable of constructing immovable walls of principle and professionalism in daylight. The Stoics, they realized, didn't advocate for calm because they were emotionally cold or detached. They taught it because they possessed a profound understanding of the destructive power of unchecked fire. The crucial difference lay between merely feeling the heat of an emotion and allowing that heat to dictate their words. It was about mastery, not suppression, about choosing one's response rather than being enslaved by impulse. There existed, they knew, a two-word boundary that could effectively end circular arguments, a simple phrase that could halt escalating conflict without the need to raise one's voice. Most people, however, inadvertently destroyed its power by adding just one extra, unnecessary sentence. The exact line, and the profound reason why silence after it multiplied its force, was a lesson yet to be explored. This knowledge, they understood, was the next frontier in their journey towards Stoic mastery. It promised an even deeper level of control, a more profound understanding of interpersonal dynamics. The journey of self-mastery was continuous, each step building upon the last, refining their internal landscape. And so, with a newfound sense of quiet anticipation, they prepared for the next revelation in their Stoic reset. Having successfully navigated the initial surge of fury, the protagonist's internal state had shifted from a volatile red to a cautious amber. The raw, impulsive urge to retaliate had subsided, replaced by a fragile, nascent space for rational thought. Now, the crucial next step in the Stoic reset involved constructing a measured, effective response. The first directive was clear: differentiate between what could be controlled and what lay beyond their influence. The colleagues' actions, their motivations, and any external validation were firmly in the realm of the uncontrollable. However, their own reply, their professional standards, and the integrity of their work were entirely within their dominion. With this distinction firmly in mind, a deliberate action followed. The phone, still clutched, was turned face down on the desk. This simple physical act served as a symbolic and practical barrier against immediate, unthinking engagement. Next, the protagonist was prompted to list what I protect, a powerful exercise in clarifying values and priorities. Their reputation, meticulously built over years, was paramount, demanding protection from any perceived compromise. The rigorous standards for proper credit, a cornerstone of academic and professional integrity, also needed safeguarding. Furthermore, the project timeline, a shared responsibility, could not be jeopardized by an emotional outburst. These were not emotional declarations, but factual, unemotional statements, anchoring their intent in objective reality. With these protective boundaries established, the task shifted to crafting a concise, purpose-driven reply. The goal was not to punish or shame, but to inform, correct, and set a clear boundary for future interactions. The message began by stating facts about their sourcing, calmly detailing where the original work had been presented. It then moved to set a clear boundary, emphasizing the necessity of accurate credit for all contributions. Finally, it outlined the next practical step, perhaps suggesting a meeting or a specific revision to the document. Crucially, every hint of sarcasm, every superfluous adjective was systematically removed. The language was stripped bare, leaving only the essential information, devoid of emotional charge. Before sending, a final, critical step, reading the message aloud, slowly and deliberately. This auditory feedback allowed for a final check, ensuring the tone was neutral, professional, and unambiguous. The words, once a weapon, were now a tool, carefully honed for constructive communication. Finally, with a relaxed, deliberate action, the message was sent. This 60-second process had transformed a potential reactive, destructive impulse into a calm, constructive response. It was a testament to the Stoic principle of understanding fire without being consumed by its destructive power. The protagonist had not merely reacted, they had responded, embodying a profound shift in internal mastery. This deliberate approach set the stage for a more effective, regret-free outcome, preserving both integrity and peace of mind. The initial anger, though potent, had been channeled, its energy redirected towards a productive resolution. The colleagues' plagiarism still existed, but its power to derail the protagonist's composure had been neutralized. The message, now dispatched, carried the weight of professionalism, not the sting of personal offense. It was a victory not just in communication, but in self-governance, a quiet triumph of reason over raw emotion. The protagonist felt a sense of calm, a quiet confidence that stemmed from having acted with intention. The situation, though challenging, had been met with a clarity that would have been impossible moments earlier. The phone, now face up, no longer held the threat of an impulsive, regrettable action. Instead, it represented a bridge, carefully constructed, for a professional dialogue. The "what I protect" list resonated, a silent affirmation of their core values. Their reputation remained intact, their standards upheld, and the project timeline secure. This was the true power of the Stoic reset, not the absence of emotion, but its masterful navigation. It was a demonstration of inner strength, a quiet rebellion against the tyranny of immediate gratification. The protagonist had chosen wisdom over wrath, foresight over fleeting fury. The air in the room felt lighter. The tension that had gripped them earlier now dissipated. They had learned to observe their anger, to acknowledge its presence without letting it dictate their actions. This was a practice, a muscle being built, one deliberate breath and one thoughtful word at a time. The experience reinforced the understanding that true control lay within, not in external circumstances. The colleagues' actions were theirs alone, but the protagonist's response was entirely their own making. And in that realization lay profound liberation, a freedom from the chains of reactivity. The next steps, whatever they might be, would be approached with the same measured calm. The foundation had been laid, a robust framework for handling future challenges with equanimity. The 6-0 second Stoic reset was not merely a technique. It was a philosophy in action. It was the art of pausing, reflecting, and choosing a higher path amidst the chaos of human interaction. The protagonist had emerged from the crucible of anger, not unscathed, but undeniably stronger. Their internal landscape, once a battlefield, was now a garden, carefully tended and thoughtfully cultivated. The lesson was clear. Even in the face of provocation, one could maintain their inner citadel. The power to choose, to respond rather than react, was the ultimate form of self-mastery. And with that understanding, the protagonist felt ready for whatever the professional world might throw their way. The incident, initially a source of distress, had become a catalyst for growth, a testament to the enduring wisdom of ancient philosophies applied to modern-day dilemmas. The 6-0 second Stoic reset had proven its worth, transforming potential regret into purposeful action. A quiet revolution, one breath, one thought, one deliberate choice at a time.